FAJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is the first Wednesday of the month, which means it's time for Kathy Hester's Vegan Kitchen. She is the wizard when it comes to figuring out machines, simplifying them for us, and making healthy, delicious recipes that fit any vegan lifestyle, including mine, which includes no added sugar. And today she's going to be making vegan ice creams. We're calling this the Vegan Ice Cream Party. And all the recipes are sweetened naturally with fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. So help me. I love that she has a purple Ninja Creami. Please welcome Kathy Hester. I love that it's your machine is purple. Why didn't I get purple? I got regular.
But I had a regular one because whenever I'm doing an appliance cookbook, which is like most of the time, right? Let's be frank, I end up with extra of these. So I gave away my green one, my gray one. And then I have a Ninja Creami Breeze down below if somebody has questions about that. They're not selling that model anymore. But there are the deluxe model, Chef AJ. I did see on QVC, they had I think it was 189 or 199, the deluxe with extra pints in all these different colors. They had pink and there were 8 or 9 different colors. And so I thought I'd talk today a little bit about the differences between these, show you how though there's differences, if you have an original, which is what we're calling the first one, and it doesn't matter if it has 7 programs or 5 programs or whatever, we're going to use basically on any of these machines, we're going to use light ice cream, sorbet. If there's a smoothie bowl, we might, but smoothie bowl, sorbet, about the same thing. There's a milkshake button, respin button. There's a lot more on the Ninja Creami, and I'm going to show you a Ninja Creami Deluxe, and I'll show you that. But we can replicate the same things over here without the fancy buttons, right? So everyone's like, should I sell this one and get the Deluxe? No. Take a deep breath. And yes, this is super hypocritical of me. You do not need another thing.
Well, to me, the only reason I would tell a first-time buyer to get the bigger one is if they have a family. So if you're one person, or like the regular one was perfectly fine for just me and Charles, but if you have more people in your family, then I would say the other one. That's how I would do it.
It's possible. I also just having more pints. So I'm working on the second whole food plant-based Ninja Creami ebook, which I am calling Whole Food Plant-Based Ninja Creami ebook 2 at the moment. Super creative. But I have 30 pints, 30 of these things. Now, you don't need 30 of these things because you don't need to shoot 10 Ninja Creamis a day to make an ebook, right? But you could have 6, and then you could make, or let's say 7. Let's make it a nice week number. So you can, on Sundays, you make your 7 creamies, and maybe your kid gets their favorite flavor. Cheryl gets chocolate. I get some sort of weird flavor or fruit flavor, something like that. Because you can always just eat even down to like a quarter and respin it the next day. So maybe if you have a few people, 7, maybe even 4 pints will last you through the whole week. And one of the questions I got on my channel recently that your people will probably be interested in too is, are these compliant? And when they're asking me, I believe they're asking McDougall compliant. And I want to say yes, and so they are compliant. They're not going against any McDougall rules. But think of it the way you think of pasta. Pasta is, you can have pasta on the starch solution, but you don't want to eat your body weight in pasta, right? So if all you're eating are Ninja Creami pints and you're making them richer, maybe you're using nuts. We are going to be using pears and dates to sweeten these. So just think about how everything goes with everything. Now, I will also say, last year when I did the McDougall 12-day program, Cheryl and I split a Ninja Creami pint every night. And we both still lost weight during those 12 days. But as Stacy, my support specialists would say, you kind of have to see how it works with you and with your goals. Okay. So the 3 things we're going to do, and if there are any questions, just pop them in and then Chef AJ will let me know. The deluxe, and let me show you, here we go. I'm going to see if I can just switch this over to here. Okay, you can kind of see that. So the deluxe is way fancier and more buttons. I'll move this over as far as I can. This is just the regular one. Okay, so we've got just a few buttons and they're just buttons you push. This, you have to make a few choices first. Max does not like the choices and he's voicing his opinion. So you have to say, are you doing the top half, the bottom half, or full? If you don't press full, you don't get any of these creamy chino, slushy options because they're made to do the full pint. And also, instead of just pressing a button and it starting, you have to do it and then press this. It's not really very hard. But I think people see that and they're like, oh, I want to make a creamy chino. I want to make a slushie, right? So you think you need this machine. And I'm going to spin both of these. And then we're also going to make these recipes. We're going to make a creamy chino, which is a Ninja Creami Frappuccino. And I made this one with Ticino. So I cold brew Ticino, even though they say don't. It seems to be, it's so strong. It's plenty strong that way. And I think I used this butterscotch cream one, and I'll let you see that. There we go. And they do have specific gluten-free ones as well. I don't react to the gluten in these because it does have some barley in it. You could also use something like a brewed dandy blend. You can brew it hot or cold. Just let it cool off before you use it. And Chef AJ, there's one you use as well.
Yeah, you know what, Kathy? I'm told she's going out of business with her brown rice coffee. She's not going out of business with the tea. It's called Say Me, and luckily I have 2 big things. I do react to the Dandy blend. I would wish I didn't, and even though the company says there's no gluten in it, it's made from barley. How can there be no gluten in it?
Oh, and I didn't think it was in the dandy.
Well, they say I wrote the company. They said it doesn't.
It
It's
is. You're
so
right.
I love the taste, but I react to Dandy blend. So that's why I went to
It's
this
extract of roasted barley. And I never looked at it since it said gluten-free. And obviously I haven't opened it yet. But yeah, if you're celiac, especially, just don't play with those games. Because just a little bit of anything can bother you. So you could also, you don't have to have any coffee at all. You could do, I do a lot with teas, and you could do the same thing that we're doing right now with brewed chai tea. And you could do a decaf blend if you wanted, or an herbal blend. And in the new book, I have, this may be my best ice cream ever. It's smoky date vanilla caramel. And it's made with lapsang tea. So actually, let's go ahead. We'll make this because it's so easy. One thing I do recommend, and I know I won Chef AJ over, but it took a little going for that, was blending things before you put them in your creamy pint. And it seems kind of ridiculous because this blade does come down and shave it. But what happens, especially in the deluxe pint, is it's so big, if something settles at the bottom, it's hard to get it all mixed in. So that's why I do it this way. And we're going to go ahead. One of the things that I found, and you can use many different things. So this is mashed sweet potato. That's a great whole food plant-based thickener. Then we're going to use this in our creamy chino. These are interchangeable. You could use silken tofu. You could use riced cauliflower. You can use okara. Okara is the pulp from soy milk. And we've made cheeses and stuff with that before. Let's see if you can kind of see it a little bit better there, I think. Yeah. You can also, I'm testing right now using zucchini pulp. You may have to up the zucchini pulp a little bit, but what happens is this thickens it up. And I find when we're using sweet potato or okara, it gets more of the mouthfeel of like a premium ice cream. It reminded me of the Breyers ice cream I grew up with. Obviously, I haven't had it in a little while, but I did have the vegan version fairly recently, and it was pretty tasty. So if you go on the forums and things like that for Ninja Creami, a lot of people are using different gums and stuff like that, and they're just not really necessary. I just don't think that they're necessary. So we're going to do about 3/4 of a cup of this brewed chino. This could also be cold brew coffee. It could be decaf. It could be regular. It could be any herbal thing that you want, tea or otherwise. We're going to put I'm going to start with a cup of milk. I'm probably going to want a little bit more. Yeah, we'll start with 1 and see how that does. Also know, even though there are fill lines on both the pints, you can go under that fill line, or you could add a little more non-dairy milk and bump it up. There's no really right or wrong way. This is much easier than people tend to think it is. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of vanilla in here. I'm going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon. If you want no alcohol, because most alcohol, you can buy no alcohol vanilla, or like Chef AJ, you can use vanilla powder. I have lost mine. But
Well, I was like, you sure it wasn't stolen? Because I mean, vanilla powder's so expensive.
it is expensive. And one thing you can do if you make your own vanilla extract, then you can dry out your vanilla beans and make some vanilla powder too. So I'm going to be doing that soon. Okay, then the only other thing we want to do is add our dates. With this, I would do dates. With some of the others, so I actually, in the book, there's going to be an apple crisp creamy chino. So it's coffee. I wanted it to be kind of like the Starbucks apple crisp. And it uses applesauce to sweeten it, but you could put a couple of dates in there too. And here's the other thing. I'm doing between 5 to 7 medjool dates. These are really tiny. I just got these at Costco. So this batch is kind of not very good. And they're not consistent. But I'm thinking some of you don't want it as sweet as I do. And some of you may want it sweeter than I do. Also, by blending it like this, you get a chance to taste it. So if you're like, I think 5 dates sounds like crazy talk, what you can do is put in 2, blend it, taste it, and if it's perfect for you, then there you go. It's easy peasy. I've got to wash the date smut off of my fingers so I don't stick to everything. So all we have in here is we have a 1/2 cup of sweet potato, 3/4 of a cup of a brewed coffee, or I have ticino, 5 dates, some vanilla, and some non-dairy milk. I am using soy milk because it's my favorite. Oat milk works, rice milk works, any milk will work. What we're doing in my first book, we used oats to thicken it. We made oat cream. This is easier, I think. And then you can use whatever's on hand. Chef AJ, you guys get Hannah yams all year round.
Oh my gosh, I live on Hannah yams, but I can't imagine people that don't know what they are because they've never tried them. They can often look in an ethnic grocery store because they could be called something else, but it's like the Hannah or the Jersey, you know.
Yeah, and I found out at the Raleigh Farmers Market we can get them, but they're a spring thing. So I got actually a couple of cases, cooked them and froze them in like little super cubes so that I can go ahead and just cut them and put them in different pints like this too. But if you're in a place like where I am, because I do find that orange sweet potatoes give the pints a flavor. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and that could work really well in like a cinnamon or, you know, something fall flavored. You could make a potato casserole flavored, you know, creamy. But when we're just trying to add thickness with no flavor, the white sweet potatoes are much better. Again, you can use okara. You can also, if you make almond milk, if that's your thing, you can use almond milk pulp. Another thing you can use, I've used a half a cup of cooked oats that were left over from our breakfast. It can be a little more finicky. You can use a half a cup of chickpeas, half a cup of white beans, something that's not going to change the color or the flavor. If you add too much of this thickener, it's going to be stodgy. So you might think, ooh, I should just go all in and make it all this way. But it gets too thick and then it doesn't taste like ice cream. It tastes more like frozen potato, really. I mean, it just has not a great texture. I'm just going to blend this up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You can still see a couple of little date flecks here and there. This blender is the beast. And if it's still at your Costco store for like 70 bucks, get it. It has a 1,000-watt motor. This is the largest container and this is the smallest. So I like it for small blending. It's almost as powerful as the Vitamix. They're usually like 200 bucks. But right now, Costco is doing a closeout on them. And see, it's kind of thick. Actually, I'll let you. We may end up adding a little more liquid, but we don't have to. Do you see how it's kind of almost like a batter? And literally, you can just take it, taste it. Oh my gosh. With the sweet, I'm really loving the white sweet potatoes in this. Chef AJ, have you ever used any in your creamy pints yet?
Yes, I've used even Japanese, you know, blended with things like bananas or strawberries, and you're so right. It makes it so creamy.
It makes it so thick and like this beautiful mouthfeel.
I
And
ended up doing it years ago before the Ninja Creami when I made my holiday eggnog because it was made with bananas and a can of yams, no dates even, and it tasted just like eggnog with the nutmeg. And then I would freeze that into the Ninja pints and make eggnog ice cream.
oh, yum.
Yeah.
Well, I know you gave me one of your recipes that I'm gonna
I
creamy
think I might have
eyes.
given you, yeah, maybe I gave you that one. I don't know. Yeah.
I think you gave me a butterscotch pudding.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's good too. Well, that's made with the orange sweet potato.
Ooh, that'll
Yeah.
be even better because that way anybody can get it at any time. All right. The only thing I will say about this is being the spatula queen that I am, I did pay extra for the spatula that goes with this, and it is kind of brilliant. I thought I was going to just be mad, but it works really well. So let me show you. We could leave it like this. Okay, see, this is where the line is. Well, actually, no, it's right on the line. So there's two lines. See if I can get this where you can. You're never going to see it right now. I'll show you on the frozen one. But there's a line here that says freeze fill, and there's another one for pour in or max fill. And so what that means is if you're going to make in the deluxe, we're going to do this a different way in the original. In the deluxe, what happens after it's frozen, and I think you might be able to see this a little bit better. Okay, see the freeze fill, you can read that there. And then the max fill. So I could go for the whole 3 cups of ice cream and fill it up to there. But what we're going to do is fill this part up with non-dairy milk or whatever we're going to use to make our drink. On the regular pints, there's not anything like that. There's just the max fill line. But we can work with that. There are workarounds. Okay, so this I would just label, and put away in the freezer for about 24 hours. And then it'll be ready. And you can, if you have more pints, you can make more of them. So I think what we're going to do first, if I do this, this is the same mixture that I just made. And I'm actually going to rinse this blade off really quick so it doesn't dry on and we can make our next one when the time comes. And you don't have to have the Ninja Creami blender. You can use, the Beast blender or whatever blender you have is going to be just fine. You don't need anything more than that. Okay, both of these, the deluxe and the original, have these outer bowls, outer lids with blades that come out, right? And I can show you from the top. And they both work the same way. So I pull this little, there's a lever, I pull this lever and see how it opens these up. I drop it in. I can hold it right. And it is going to wiggle. It wiggles a good bit. That's okay. When the rod comes through here, it detaches it. So you don't have to worry about that. And then there are these little feet that match in here. So I put it in and I twist it and then it's always done. And then you put the lid on and you twist it on. It gives you some clues about that too. So for the original, I'm going to do it the rebel way because we don't have creamy chino things and all of that. You can put some liquid in here and spin it all together, but I have found that I keep spilling it over. So this is my preferred way to do it. So I'm going to put this in till it locks, turn the power on. If your install light is beeping or blinking on any of them, it means something's not right. Or maybe your blade isn't right, or maybe the lid isn't on right. So just start over. I'm going to do light ice cream. And while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and pour some liquid in here and show you how we make it traditionally in the Ninja Creami Deluxe. And there'll be another step for this one. Oh. Let me go to this line. So I'm just pouring in milk to that line. One thing to notice, this doesn't turn, it pulls out.
Well, while she's spinning, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. How many of you guys have the Ninja Creami? It is a wonderful device. I use Janet Diaz on Instagram. I had the original and I gave it to Dr. Doug Lyle, and then I got the bigger one just because it made more. So, but I don't really see a lot of difference in them at all. They're both good. And I have 4 pints in my, I haven't been spinning lately, except for on my spin bike every day because it's been too cold here, but it's starting to get warmer. So I'll be spinning like a fool. I want to ask, Kathy, how long can you keep the pints in your freezer? Yeah, maybe she doesn't hear me. Did you hear me, Kathy? First to Kathy. Maybe she's spinning and that's why she can't hear me. So I'll just tell you who's on the show tomorrow. It's, let's see, who is tomorrow? Good question. First Thursday of the month. I think it's Dr. Jessica Grant, our plant-based dermatologist. Debbie's asking how loud it is. She can't hear us apparently right now, so hope that's not too loud. It doesn't spin for that long, but I'm going to ask Kathy that question in just a moment. So she is spinning. Hey, Angela, we missed you at the parties this weekend. Angela was going to come, and then she couldn't. It was great. We had 3 potlucks in a row.
I can't hear anything.
I know, we've been talking to you. You haven't been answering.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Tracy, I like to wait and do demos when I have the company on because I'm not the most proficient in machines, and that's why I like to have them answer that. But it's going to save me. I'm hoping it saved me so much money to have this juicer rather than to have to keep going to clean juice as much as I like it. So I'm waiting to hear back. Her name is Jenny. She actually went to the same culinary school I did. And Kathy, can you hear me now? Okay. I just got an electric spiralizer too, from the same company, TriBest. I can't wait to figure that out because when you buy things already spiralized, like the zucchini, the beets, and the butternut squash, you can do that, but it's just a lot more expensive. And doing it by the crank one, those things are just too hard. Not the zucchini, but butternut squash and beets are just, it just seems like it's too hard for the hand crank one. Oh, you never unboxed it? Sweet. Queen Diva, oh, please unbox it. Kathy has so many videos on it. That's what got me to get when I saw her video with the pineapple, which is not only the easiest because you literally dump a can of unsweetened pineapple in it, but it's still one of the best, actually. And it's just pineapple. You could have ice cream for breakfast. Yeah, I got to stop being lazy. And, the thing is, if an appliance isn't on my counter, I tend not to use it as much. So I think I'm going to have to move the creamy. I just like kind of counters without too much things on it, but like the Instant Pots on the counter and the air fryer. Use those every day. So I think I should move the creamy. Let's see who else we got on the show this weekend. Ooh, Saturday, first time guest. She's lost almost 100 pounds, Dixie Sutton. And she's going to be making one of my favorite recipes that she brings to our potlucks called hot roasted vegetable. Kathy, can you hear now?
I can't, like having both of these go. I've not done both of them at the same time, one on either side. Yeah, so sorry. So the only thing different, I think I over pointed at the milkshake button. We just did this small pint, the original. It was filled halfway full. We spun it first on light ice cream, and then we just added non-dairy milk and put it on the milkshake.
Okay,
So,
Kathy, couple of
yes,
questions.
absolutely.
How long can the pints stay in the freezer?
Almost indefinitely, but it will change how you're spinning them. And so let me just rinse this. And what I mean is things dehydrate in the freezer, right? So you're probably going to have more of those little Dippin' Dots or crumbliness. It's totally fixable and nothing to worry about, but you probably will have to respin a little more the older it is. I found one from last year. And so I ended up putting in probably a quarter to a half a cup of milk during the spinning and respinning processes.
Okay.
No more questions?
Nope, that was it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this is the deluxe creamy chino. And it was made with the same stuff. I made it last night. I added, so this had exactly how much milk to add. I probably added too much milk in the other one, but you can figure out what you like. If you like it super creamy like this and thick, then do less. If you want it to go through your straw easier, which would be like the first one I did, I'll bring it. So Cheryl likes her milkshakes more milky. And so instead of a creamy chino or a slushie or something like that, setting on the deluxe, you're just going to spin your stuff and then use the milkshake setting. So it's really easy and you don't need to buy that machine to do this. The difference you're seeing is I used more milk and that was it. And that's applicable to a lot of different things. I think the other 2 pints I have to spin are both original pints. And we'll make the the thing that goes with it as well. So this is a strawberry slushie. I don't have any strawberries right now, so we're going to use blueberries to make ours. But what I want you to kind of see, notice that it's way below the fill line. Usually I do about half, but you can do a little bit more. That's because I knew I was going to use this like a drink. Also, any of these cremachino slushy recipes can be sorbets and ice creams if you don't add in the milk. So let's say I didn't want a drink for some reason. I wanted something that I wanted ice cream to serve like for dessert for company. I just wouldn't have added the milk in the deluxe and I just would have spun it on light ice cream, maybe added some stuff as needed. And we're going to spin a regular pint that's frozen pretty hard so you can see the process of, because a lot of people, they spin it and they're like, it's crumbly, it's not creamy, the machine is broken. No, it's like any other cooking, right? If you're cooking something and the recipe says to cook for 5 minutes, you might have to cook it for 7 minutes or 4 minutes. So it's kind of that little in betweens, if that makes sense. So for this, I'm just going to add water, which I think, oh, here we go, to make it into a slushie. So I'm going to go ahead, and the reason I could add some in here, and we can try it. Sometimes it splashes out and sometimes it doesn't. If I'm a little under a half, it doesn't always. So I'm going to try and see what happens. One of the reasons is these containers are bigger and are built and have this extra bit. So if it goes up too high, it's just going to push out and slosh out. We'll see if I guessed well. And while this is spinning, I'm basically, and I can do this with the blender at the same time, this is going to have pears. It's 1 15-ounce can of pears and pear juice. And Chef AJ, you're the one who actually gave me the idea for this. I think
Thank
it was
you.
your whipped cream that you do
Yeah.
with pears. I was like, that's super smart. And then 1 cup of blueberries, strawberries, peaches, anything that you want to be in the slushie. You could also, with this in particular, I've done with the pears, a can of pears and tea, or a can of pears and something, because the pears don't bring that caramelness that the dates do to something. And that's why you might choose one over the other. Like I think dates and vanilla, dates and chocolate, those are just combinations that just won't quit ever. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this. If I can get it on here. There we go. I'm going to spin this on, you could do a sorbet. The reason we usually use sorbet or light ice cream settings with whole food plant-based mixtures, we don't have any fat. We usually don't have any kind of cane sugar. Those are 2 things that keep the mixture from freezing hard and solid. And the main reason I like the Ninja Creami over, like I had a fancy freeze as you go ice cream maker that I got rid of because it doesn't freeze it. It freezes it just barely to soft serve. Then you're supposed to put it in the freezer and then scoop it out. And if you're doing whole food plant-based, it freezes like a rock. If you love your soft serve from your Vitamix or your food processor, that's great too. This gives you more scoopable stuff like we'll see in the last recipe. Okay. But oh, and I was going to say what happens, there's a rod that comes down and gets the blade. So these settings control how fast or slow the rod comes down and how fast the rotations of the blade are. So with these two it's expecting a harder mixture. So the rod's going down slower, the blade is spinning faster, and that keeps your machine safe.
Oh, I'll get to your question, Judy. I don't think she can hear me when she's spinning. And yours too, Tracy. Rick, I don't think Kathy's frozen. I think she's just spinning.
So what am I?
Can you hear me, Kathy?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, because I never know. So, the question from Tracy is, if a recipe calls for 2.5 cups of fruit and 1 cup of juice, how would I adapt it to the regular creamy pint?
Honestly, the deluxe pint is 3 cups. The regular pint is 2 cups. So honestly, what I would usually do is just split this between 2 original cups, and it'll probably be about 3/4 of the way full. It does not ever have to go all the way to this line. It just needs not to go above it. So I was trying to make that call right now. Do I put this in 2 and do single servings, or do I put this in a deluxe? So Cheryl and I will enjoy a slushie together. I know people hate 1.5 times. It's so the recipes that are on my blog, healthyslowcooking.com, there's a tab you can click and it will change it from one to the other. But I'm going to be adding some more recipes. I think there's only about 7 now there. But basically, you can just kind of play with it. And I don't know if that helps enough. I know everybody wants something super, super specific, but you can do a recipe that's for the original in the Ninja Deluxe, and it'll just be lower. And that's okay too if you don't want to do the math. Sometimes I just don't do the math. Okay. And then you can kind of see in here. And I think the slushie is super fun because I feel like we don't get a lot of slushy stuff necessarily.
Makes me think of Slurpees.
right? And it looks and it feels just like a Slurpee. Now, because I spun this once, I want you guys here. See, I think we can see it here. Okay. So if I move this a little bit, see how there's a little bit of an ice wall kind of sticking? So what I would normally do, and at the bottom, we could see that. Let's see if I can get it up here. So see right there? So that's still frozen to the bottom. Like right at that. It's like just a slice, a little slice. So a lot of people don't like that. And honestly, I don't either. So what I would do is just come in here with a spoon. It's not hard. I mean, it's frozen, but the blade, if it went all the way down to the bottom, it would also be peeling off the plastic. So there has to be a stopping point. But what you can do, and I do this with ice cream as well as cremachinos. So I can just go ahead and scrape all that up in here and put it on respin. And then it'll get all those little pieces done too. So hopefully that helps. And I just blended pears and blueberries together and poured it in a container. That's why I went ahead and just did that while the other was spinning, because it's really easy. You can just put applesauce in here. Another thing you could do is applesauce and dates. I'm actually doing a lot with teas right now, and I have this cinnamon apple spice celestial seasonings tea. And I'm going to be putting that with applesauce as well. Applesauce is a great thickener and sweetener, so you can kind of go back and forth on that. Any other questions before I start making
Yes, there's a question from Judy. How do you clean the rod that comes down to the blade?
It is self-cleaning. I know no one believes it, but what you can do, if you don't believe me, is you can fill a container about halfway up, whichever your containers are, put it in, run it on milkshake. Don't do anything where it's going to damage everything coming in and out. It should not damage on milkshake. Then look at the water. The water's clear. I've done it several times. So it's got a little thing. That's why. So that you do need to clean this little nub that you see. That is not self-cleaning. And if you haven't cleaned it in a while, you might need to get a scrubby brush because it has grooves in it, and that does need to be cleaned.
When will Kathy's new book come out? How do we get the previous book?
Oh, you can get the previous book now, but I don't think I gave you that link. If you eat, oh, probably on one of your other videos.
I think I try to put in all your links to everything.
Okay, I didn't give everything to you this time, I don't think, but yes, you can still get it, and you can get the Ninja Creami experience for $49. I will send that to you, Chef AJ, once we're done, so you can put it up and have your affiliate links there. Sorry about that, but yes, you can still get both of those. Even if you have the Ninja Creami experience, you will not have the second ebook. I've got the pre-order form open. If you pre-order, A, thank you. B, you're going to get a free live class, and you can ask me questions about Ninja Creami that you personally have. And also that the ebook will be up by May 31st, probably not a day before, probably that evening, unless my life calms down a little bit. Also, there's going to be a sneak peek into the book. I'm going to give a few little pictures and a couple of recipes around May 15th. So you guys will be on that. And also I'm going to be creating a little group so you guys can talk to each other, get help, and things like that. So I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take very, very good care of you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay, so now let's make vanilla okara. We are going to spin sweet potato vanilla. And like I told you before, either one is fine. So I'm going to sweeten this one with dates. And let's see, I think we're going to use probably about 6 dates, 7 dates. What else we got in the okara? Let's do 7. 1, 2. And also see how some of them are really, really big and some of them are tiny. That's why I'm off a little bit. It's almost like these are like Deglet Medjool hybrids or something. So usually I got these at Costco, and this is the first time I've had an inconsistent batch. So I'll just pay better attention next time. And you could sweeten this with other things. And in fact, I know that most of the people here, including myself, don't really use monk fruit or anything like that. But if you're using okara or sweet potato as the base, you could, because that would keep it soft enough. We're going to put in about 2 teaspoons of vanilla because we want it to be extra vanilla-y. And in the new book, I'm still trying to decide how I'm going to do it, but there are going to be measurements for deluxe and for the original. So some of them may be hinky, right? It's going to be an exact, even, perfect measurement for one, and then another, it's going to be a little weird. So this is my fresh okara from yesterday, which is just soybean pulp. Don't use like dried okara that you might find in the flour section. That's not going to be helpful. It's going to taste nasty. But you could use sweet potato. You could use vegan yogurt. You could use beans. You could use cauliflower. You could use a lot of different things. So I've got that in. And then about 1.5 cups of soy milk. So we're looking to make about 2 cups for an original pint. So you could always go a little bit shy and then add some more in. So let's go ahead. We'll just put 1 cup in. Since we don't know exactly how much date this is. And I'll show you how you can correct it. After, did I not bring I need more blades. What did I do with my blade for that? There it is. All right. And again, you don't have to have a special blender. This could be your NutriBullet, your Ninja Creami, your Vitamix. Get enough for today. And so again, it's a 3 cups for a deluxe. And I always come here and taste. Because you can tell right then if it's sweet enough, if it's not sweet enough. Also, when you're respinning, instead of adding more non-dairy milk, you can always add more like date syrup or date paste. It's better to get the dates in here, just because it's harder to get it to spin evenly throughout the pint. And I also just wanted you to see, like, it's really ridiculously easy to throw these together. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I have to make this in 24 hours in advance. And you're thinking about it in a lot of hard ways. I'm looking for my other spatula, my special one. But really, you just, once you have a couple in the freezer, you just make sure to keep replenishing it so you don't run out. And what we'll find, there's like a little bit of space, but by the time I scrape this out, that's going to be full. And I get a lot of questions like, what do I do if my Ninja Creami pint isn't full enough? And there's not really a not full enough. It's okay. That's why I'm saying it so many times in case more people are coming on, because I feel like that's one of the #1 fears, is that somehow you're messing up by not filling it all the way up. And see, that's filled perfectly. It's ready to go in the freezer, and tomorrow we can spin it. And then let's look at spinning a pint, which we haven't done this time. Some of this out of the way. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is take the lid off. And you're going to see a hump or a volcano, right? You can kind of see how that comes out. Some people are not putting lids on and having it solve some of that problem. But all I do, and I don't have great wrists, and it's just that easy. Like, so I'm not particularly strong-handed. You just level that out. Because of the sweet potato or the okara, this mixture isn't going to be as hard. And so see, that was all that was. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And some people don't do that. Chef AJ, do you level out your pints?
No, not really.
Yeah, I'm funny about it, but I've heard other people like, so if the blade gets womper jawed, it can get into the plastic. I've never had it happen to me ever. So I just kind of do it on caution. We're going to spin this on light ice cream. And I'll go away for a moment, or I'll show you it spinning.
All right, she's spinning. If you guys have a creamy, what's your favorite flavor to spin? I find everything, like anytime you have leftovers, like a smoothie or something, you can just put it in there. It seems to work. And I've never done anything other than the regular spin button. I've never made a slushie or anything like that. I still like the champion though for banana ice cream best, if it's just banana. But one day they won't have that. That's how I got involved with the creamy, is when I found out Champion was going out of business. I was like brokenhearted because that was my favorite machine for ice cream. I mean, I love the Vitamix for a blender, but I've never been able to just use the fruit. I worry that it's going to burn out. Have you been able to do that? Because I always find I have to add just a little bit of liquid. So it's never that consistency like the Ninja Creami where it's actually scoopable ice cream. Still good though, still good. Every machine has a purpose. Karen likes mint chocolate chip. Yum. Kelly likes pineapple. Caramel apple, says Brenda. Yeah, those are all really good ones. They're all good. I had a friend, I don't know if you guys all, you'd have to go way back on my YouTube channel, like 15 years ago. Chef Rashid, he was one of the first raw chefs in Los Angeles. He was the first raw chef at Sun Cafe. And he'd always say, it's all good. It's all good. He was great. I love him. Miss my LA friends. But a bunch of them came up this weekend for the book launch for Shada, so I got to see them. That was fun. Ooh, Justine made coconut with Japanese sweet potato, almond milk, vanilla, and a little coconut extract. Coconut balsamic, she thinks would work. That sounds really good. You know, Justine, what I do with the California balsamic is I use it as like the syrup, like on top of the ice cream. So I'll use the fruity flavors. What's my favorite flavor these days? Do you mean California balsamic, Susanna, or Ninja Creami? I haven't spun in months because I mean, it's still like in the 40s here. Who lives like this? It's so much. I never, it could be 122 in the desert, and I'm like, this is great. And here it's like, I'm freezing. But Susanna,
Oh,
you're talking about California balsamic flavor. I am so into Gilroy garlic right now. I don't know what happened. That's been my favorite these days. But now, after what I learned yesterday about vinegar on that show, I'm like, oh no. But I
oh
can't.
no, what
Well, it's not
happened?
bad. It's not bad. It's just that people that are sensitive to glutamates and things like that. But she did say that nutritional yeast is pretty bad. And I've always suspected it. Maybe it's not bad for everybody, but Kathy, every time I eat it, I get terrible gut pain, always, even a sprinkle. I wish I could eat it. And she explained why. So
Okay, yeah, I don't have any issues from that. Like if I eat too much raw cauliflower, that puts me to spin. But I wanted to mention too, the California balsamics that are fruit flavors are amazing with like the strawberry slushie. And you can actually on the blog, there's a strawberry pear sweetened sorbet with balsamic, and you could use elderflower, elderberry, lemon. What else do I have here? Strawberry, lime, cherry. So those are if you can tolerate it,
Yeah, no,
obviously.
those are great on ice cream.
Okay, now this one didn't come out too crumbly, which is unfortunate. I might grab something and see if anything else was been crumbly. But so that is not crumbly. And if it, one of the ways you can tell too is to come in here and smooth it. If it smooths right away, that means it's going to scoop well. So let's say if we were pretending it was kind of messed up, I would put a little hole in here and I'd probably start with 2 tablespoons of non-dairy milk, anywhere from 2 tablespoons. If it was super powdery and just like dust, it looks just like ice dust, I might even put a quarter or a little bit more. The thing is if you put too much, then it's going to spin up like soft serve. And that's not really what we're going for. If that happens, you can put it back in the freezer and spin it again another day, and it won't be soft serve anymore. But another thing that you can know is like there is an ice wall. A couple of ways you can get rid of the ice walls, let it sit out for about 10 minutes. Some people even microwave their pint. I don't do that. You can run it under hot water. Or you can just scrape it down and spin it again. So usually we're not eating all of this. So I scoop out all the stuff that's not the ice wall. Then I take my spoon, just like I showed you on this slushie, and we just smushed it all up together. And then when I respin it, it'll all come out great. But I mean, it was ridiculously easy to make some of these. And I just want you to see that because I think people think it's complicated, and it's not. Just don't give up. You might have to respin more than 2 or 3 times, especially if you don't just keep adding a little bit of extra non-dairy milk or water if you're doing a slushie or a sorbet. You're not supposed to freeze water in here, but you can use it to loosen it up if it's getting crystallized.
Hey, Christy says, any suggestions on extract flavors to use?
Oh, well, I love a good lavender extract. You can also make teas. You can make a lavender tea, but lavender extract, I like using orange flower water, rose water. Those are really neat. I'm trying to think. We had a fruit sweetened lemonade at a festival we went to this weekend, and it had like pineapple, lemon, passion fruit, and orange flower water. And I think that would make a great pint. You can get chocolate extract. Almond extract is very good. Like if you do vanilla and almond together, that's kind of wedding cake snowball flavor, which was my favorite snowball back in New Orleans. But you can get some that are cleaner than others. So there are a lot of ice cream and candy flavors you can get on Amazon. Just make sure you read the labels and you're okay with the ingredients. Like general extracts are great, but you can get things like princess cake, red velvet, all these different things, but they do have some strange chemicals in them. So just make sure you're getting what you think you're getting, and always look at the ingredients first. I'm thinking like Simply Organics. You can usually get these cheaper, but like Savory Spice Shop has some really good ones. I'm trying to think of what other because in my first book, and Chef AJ, I sent you your affiliate link to the first book and the Ninja Creami experience
And I've been
when that was.
posting them.
Oh, great.
Kathy, Rick wants to know if your new ebook is mostly for the larger Creami, or will it work with the original Creami?
It's gonna have amounts for both. I'm just deciding, I've got to work it out. Either it's going to be like, see the deluxe section in the back, or I'm going to somehow fit them on both pages. some way. Like I know Robert Rose Books does that with metrics and empirical, but I find them hard to read. So I'm trying to think of how that's going to work. Or, and I was thinking of, or what I might do. I don't know. Anyhow, I'm thinking of it. And yes, there will be. There could even be when you pre-order this from Thrivecart, I might put one up that's deluxe and one up that's original. So you can, because I know a lot of you are going to want to print it out and you might only want to print out one set of directions. So that I'm trying to think about all that. But don't worry about it because you really can do all the things in both too. Hopefully that helps. I'm going to take a bite of ice cream now. Mm. The sweet potato date vanilla is really good. It's good with the okara too. I already made that to begin with. Any other questions? So like you're pre-ordering the book, so you won't get it today because I'm working on it. I have probably about 15 of the photographs. I have contributors that are contributing. I have some testers that should be starting to test some of the recipes so I can make sure they're perfect by the time they get all published to you at the end of next month, or this month, at the end of the month. And then I have a set of people who review the book and look for edits and things like that that might need to happen.
Perfect. Well, are
Yay.
you going to do like, I remember when the first one launched, you did like a 4-hour live or something like that.
The goal is not to do a 4-hour live, but I am going to do a live and answer your questions. And I just have to see if I can do that. I'm going to be scheduling May now, and I'm actually impromptu going out of town this weekend. I'm going to drive to Cleveland, Ohio.
And why? What is in Cleveland?
A friend of mine who is on Ecamm staff, the software I use, is speaking at a content creator conference, and they had an extra ticket. So I was like, I'll drive there. That'll be exciting. And actually, while I'm there, I can work on the book some, work on the front matter. And I can be all alone in a hotel room. It'll be exciting.
That sounds like fun.
I'm going to take Cheryl's gig car too, instead of my old 12-year-old car.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is fun, Kathy.
Well, and I always like hanging out with you, Chef AJ. So I
No.
just wish I was there to make ice cream. Oh, I do have
Hey,
one
can you
question.
come? Oh, are you able? I'm sorry to interrupt, but are you able to come to the next conference, July 7th, and hang out in person?
Possibly. I'm still
Okay.
trying to work that out. So it looks like I just talked to Chef Yin, and it looks like she's coming in August.
Oh, okay. I'll be
So
in Mexico in August. Yeah.
I think you should take me to Mexico with you.
Well, I mean, I could. I ostensibly could take anyone. This time I'm taking Dr. Alan Goldhammer. And there
Well,
are 5 spots left if anybody wants to hang out with me and the Hammer for 8 days in Rancho La Puerta.
well, that sounds kind of amazing.
I know. I took Dr. Lyle was, I mean, who never thought like, 10 or 12 years ago, I'd be not just hanging out with them as friends, but going to Mexico with them and playing games and going on hikes. It's like surreal to me. So yeah, it'll be
Oh,
fun.
that's so awesome. But yeah.
I-
Oh, I wanted to ask you about this because I was hoping to have one of your favorite flavors for today, and it did not work out well. So licorice. You had asked me for
Well, I
licorice.
remember, back in the day, Baskin Robbins, right around Halloween, would have black licorice ice cream. I mean, it didn't look that great, but I loved the flavor of. I never liked red licorice. Always liked the black.
I've got the color. I can put a little charcoal in there, but I bought licorice tea, and it's from the licorice root. I'd also bought just some licorice root, and it does not taste like licorice candy. So it's not like if I put that in an ice cream and handed it to you, you'd be like, do you hate me? What did you dig out of your yard to make this out of? It tasted like sticks and dirt.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm still working on that one. If it doesn't happen by the time this book happens, I'm not giving up. But I've seen like the non-whole food plant-based Ninja Creami recipes, and they're like melting down candies and
Mm.
stuff. but I'm going to see if I can maybe get some anise oil or if there's what other flavorings I need to get to make that flavor.
Well, yeah, that would be great.
Any other requests?
If you, yeah, so where put them in the chat or if they can contact you,
Yeah, go ahead and put them in the chat.
Very cool. All right. Well, Kathy, it's so fun. Next month you're coming on. Let's see if the only holiday really in June is Father's Day, right? Where'd she go? Did she freeze? Don't freeze. Well, we did a good show, even if she did. Well, we're doing ice cream. It makes sense she would freeze, right? Okay, well, if I don't get her back in a second, I will close this out. Yeah, all right. Okie doke. Well, I'm going to close it out because there's no fun just looking at a frozen Kathy Hester. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you get a chance, I'd love for you to pre-order. Well, now she disappeared. And please come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time for our plant-based dermatologist, Dr.